Welcome to r/entitled people, where we share stories from your lives about people who think the rules don't apply to them, and they should get what they want. Thank you, friends, for subscribing to the channel, and for so many likes. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story, Sorry Ma'am, I Don't Make the Rules. Tales of Entitled Customers. The second story, Client Intentionally Withholds Someone Else's Property. Police Get Involved. The third story, The Epic Revenge of the ERP Wizards, How 2 Employees Took Down the Old Boys Club. The first story is, Sorry Ma'am, I Don't Make the Rules. I started a new job at a family-owned market at an orchard near where I live last week. I only work 4 days out of the week due to college classes, but it's still nice to earn extra money where I can. The holidays are coming up and entitled parents and grandparents are coming out of the woodwork with kids left and right. These are 3 stories that do go with the title from the same day where I said the phrase, Sorry ma'am, I don't make the rules. Since the place where I work is known for its vast pie and cookie options, I've sadly gotten tired of apple and pumpkin pies and chocolate cookie requests already. Hell, someone even asked for a pull-apart cake made of eclairs with happy birthday written across it. Thanks any sky deity that 85% of the customers are actually nice, decent human beings, and do leave apple and pumpkin-flavored desserts a good taste in my mouth. But this isn't the right subreddit to post my bakery and convenience store woes. Just entitled parents. Story 1. Cookies and grandmothers are usually go the best together in any scenario in existence. Want an extra cookie before bed? Here you go, sweetie. Cookies plus grandma plus entitlement? Not so much. At my workplace, we have cookies that we weigh so we know how much to charge people. Simple, right? 1 cookie no bigger than the size of an American half-dollar coin that weighs almost literally nothing would be less than 50 cents. Easy to just go up to the register, say it's 1 cookie and here's $1 and poof, cookie for cute grandson. But no, when entitlement is in play here, that's not the case at all. 999. This grandma that came up to my counter pointed at little cookies that are shaped like Dutch boys. I grab one and put it in the bag, and she's like, hello? I pointed to the ones with sprinkles. I'm like, no problem, ma'am. I put the cookie I pulled from the display case on the counter and got her a sprinkled cookie literally not as big as a half-dollar coin. I put it in the bag and write the code for the cashier to put in to charge this lady less than 50 cents and give it to her. Literally less than 50 cents. She looks at the code and goes, are you seriously gonna charge me for an effing cookie? I reply with fake customer service smile. I'm sorry, ma'am, I don't make the rules. And her response is, this is for my grandson, and then throws it on the counter at me. I just look at it for about a millisecond with a suppressed sigh. Of course, that's what she does. Her daughter-in-law comes up with a kid no older than 2 and gives me an apologetic look and takes the bag and whispers in an apology. I force a smile and serve another customer. Not without hearing the entitled grandma talking about not having free cookies for toddlers and how I'm a bee. Whatever, the cookie was 30 cents. Story 2. There has to be a scientific reason behind the way people walk in with this aura of whatever around them. If there is, this could explain how I knew this woman was a literal Karen without even looking at her. I could feel the shiver down my spine when I turned around with a faux smile and said, how can I help you? A dozen donuts and make it snappy. And she of course snaps her fingers at me like I'm her personal servant. And in her logic, I'm why she forgot to bring her donuts to the PTA meeting she's late to. Of course, ma'am, I'll get those right away. You want fall season flavor, right? I ask. Oh my god, duh. Just get them. I'm late to my meeting, she says exasperatedly while looking dramatically to the ceiling from her phone. I get them and she puts her card in the chip reader. Before she can go off hastily, I say, ma'am, please sign the receipt. Why? It's protocol. Are you going to steal my information? Of course not. What do you want me to sign? I'm sorry, ma'am. I don't make the rules. You can just scribble, whatever. She harshly scribbles on the receipt hard enough to almost rip the thin paper, and power walks out of the store with the tacky flower pen. I had to turn away from the counter to process what the hell just happened to a moment. I then laugh to myself for 2 seconds and go on my 10-minute break half an hour early. Story 3. I have the patience of a saint somehow. It must have blossomed from doing 5 years of childcare with rowdy children. A Chad comes up to the cash register with a young kid. He cuts in front of these 2 elderly women who speak more Italian than English. I tell him in a sickly sweet tone, sir, if you could give me a moment, I'll be right with you. I get the ever so snarky, whatever, just hurry up. I try to hurry with these 2 women who ask for the price of the same item multiple times. Oh my god, woman! The D thing is effing price. Can't you hear? He suddenly yells, "Sir, please don't use that language here. This is a child-friendly establishment. I don't effing care. My son is starving. I don't feed the beast and try to hurry with the elderly women." Not 2 seconds later, Chad throws down a $5 bill, yells, "It was $5 effing dollars," and drags his kid out the door. I eventually finish with the ladies and my manager lets me go in the back to calm down. I'm very grateful my Asperger's didn't decide to act up then and there. I don't understand why people act this way towards people they're buying stuff from or towards people in general. This is nothing new to me, but it still boggles my mind. These stories are true comedy with horror elements. What customers are like, eh? After all, you've witnessed a real spectacle of arrogance and self-centeredness. Story 1, it's amazing how someone can get upset over a 30-cent cookie. After all, the logic is simple. You chose the cookie, it costs money and that's fine. But no, some people think the world owes them free baked goods. You handled this situation correctly despite all the resentment. Story 2, here's the real Karen in all her glory. Funny how she wanted everything to be instant, but she took the time to sign the receipt. You were a true professional despite her antics. Story 3, that Chad was truly awful. You, like a true hero, tried to calm him down. But as always, some people just don't realize that manners and politeness are the key to good social relations. OP, I'm amazed at your poise and professionalism in these situations. Keep it up. The second story is the weirdo with a cell phone. Barely 30 minutes into my night audit shift, a man approaches the front desk with a cell phone in his hand. He asks me if I recognize the person on the lock screen. I do not, but as it turns out, it's a new coworker who just started, and with whom I've had maybe 10 minutes of interaction with. There are also notifications blocking the screen, so I can't really see. I don't think anything of it. I tell the guest I don't know whose phone it is, but I'll log it in Lost and Found, and if anyone asks, I'll make sure they get it back. And then it got strange. From here out, I'm ME and weird guy is WG. WG. Well, if anyone is missing a phone, just send them the room number and I'll give it back to them. Me. That's not something I'm comfortable doing. I won't send someone to a stranger's room to get their belongings. We have Lost and Found protocol to handle it. WG. While actively trying to open the phone that's not his with Face ID. Well, I'm not comfortable just leaving this with you. I'm just going to hold on to it and ask again in the morning. Me. Sir, if you... Dude just shrugs and walks away. Now, the way our FD is situated, by the time I could have got to the hallway to keep talking to him, he would have been halfway to his room. Not only that, but this guy easily has 100 pounds on me and I'm not a small man. I wasn't about to get into an altercation over someone else's phone. I figured if anyone asks about a missing phone, I'll just harass WG until he wakes up and take care of it. About 15 minutes later, my new coworker walks into the hotel and says he's going to WG's room to get his phone. Apparently, he used the Find My Phone app on his laptop and called it and talked to his guy. I stop him immediately. Me. Do not go down there. You should never go into an occupied guest room alone if you can help it, and especially when you're not on the clock. Just stay here and I'll call him. Also, me on the phone with WG. Hi, you were speaking with my coworker who's the owner of the phone you have. Please bring it to the FD so he can have his property back. WG. Yep, just send him down here. Me. I've already told you I won't be doing that. For everyone's safety, you need to come to the lobby and meet him, not the other way around. WG hangs up. I advise my coworker to go into the back office so when this guy shows up, he'll have the desk between us. After a few minutes when WG hasn't come to the desk, I ring the room again. He picks up and immediately hangs up. At this point, I have zero patience for people playing stupid games. I call the cops, tell them this guy is intentionally withholding someone else's personal property and acting in a way that makes me believe he has ulterior motives. He needs to relinquish the phone and be escorted from the property. Cops show up. Get the guy to cough up the phone and then spend almost an hour D'ing around by the guy's room because he's taking his sweet time being evicted. When he's finally gone, I kill his keys and inspect the room for damage. What do I find in the room? His cell phone. About 2 hours later, his wife shows up at the hotel and tries to go to the room. She can't because the keys don't work. I have to inform her that her husband was asked to leave the property and is no longer a guest here. Now, I would be 100% in the right to tell her that her husband left his phone, and he'd need a police escort to return to the property to claim it. But at this point, I'm done with the whole thing. Verify her ID, give her the phone, and wish her luck in finding out where her husband was found to stay the night. I have no idea what this guy's thought process was, but there is no universe where I would ever send someone, guest or employee, off the clock to some random's room to get their personal property. Dude must have had some savior complex and wanted to be acknowledged for finding the phone, instead of just turning it in like a normal person. The story of this strange man and his cell phone is so disturbing and ridiculous that it seems like a scene from some comedy. But in reality, these situations can be quite unpleasant and stressful. Imagine the situation: night shift at work, and suddenly a guest approaches with someone else's cell phone and strange demands. It's only natural that the hotel employee would decide to follow established procedures and protocols for lost items. However, this guest, WG, decides to do otherwise and starts behaving strangely. The story takes an absurd turn when WG refuses to cooperate and even ignores calls. At this point, the employee decides to call the police, and the situation becomes even more ridiculous. Eventually, after a long and agonizing effort, the cell phone is returned to its rightful owner and WG is evicted from the hotel. It seems that WG is caught in some weird psychological crisis, where he's decided that rescuing someone else's cell phone is his sacred duty, and he should get some sort of recognition for it. The third story is, this is what happens when you fire 2 key IT guys. It happened with one of my former employees. One member of the old boys club was promoted to manager over 2 people, who had been there for a decade plus, and had been repeatedly passed over. Once they filed grievances with HR for the blatant favoritism yet again, they were told to deal with it. These guys handled the biggest IT systems in the company, basically the ERP system, where the transactions flow through. Parts listing, orders, inventory, everything. One guy was told to go home and change his attitude, so he did just that and then came back with a new attitude of not caring about anything, telling off other members of the old boys club and just not doing much of anything anymore. They told him if he doesn't like it to quit. He said, "No, you can fire me." He was there for like 20 years, so he had a nice severance lined up. They eventually folded him and fired him. He was sitting pretty after that. The second guy landed a new job pretty quickly and put in his notice. They laughed at him and said, "No, you're just doing this to get more money." He laughed back and said, "Good luck." They did not take his resignation seriously at all. He was the last person left there to know how to manage the intricacies of the ERP system. The day before his last day, management called the rest of us into a sudden meeting and told us how dude number 2 is leaving tomorrow and how we all need to work together to take over his duties. We all said we have no idea how to do that because that's not our area of expertise. They lied to us and told us he agreed to work the next couple weekends to perform the scheduled maintenance. I asked dude number 2 about this after the meeting, and he said he did not agree to that, and we laughed. First weekend comes, maintenance fails spectacularly and the entire ERP goes down. It's a huge deal. Company operations are at a standstill and money isn't being made. They had to engage an outside consulting firm that specializes in this old ERP and paid them something like $250 an hour for several months. I was laughing so hard internally every single day because they deserved all of that. I eventually walked off the job due to my new manager being a racist D-head who thought he was God's greatest gift to women. But this story still warms my heart. Well, here's the story of how the old boys club paid the price for their arrogance and ignorance. These 2 IT gurus, ignored and disparaged, ended up becoming the real ERP crushers. The first dude, fired for mishandling, just stopped caring and literally got him fired. And the second guy, knowing his value, walked away and left them with nothing even though they claimed otherwise. And what was the result? The ERP system went away. The money melted like snow in the sun, and the company had to spend tons of money on an expensive outside consulting firm. What lessons are we learning? Never underestimate the value of your employees, especially those who know how to keep the system afloat. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.